We will be discussing episode number 13 from Surah Aali-Imran, and we will start with verse number 121, which says, "And remember when you, O Muhammad, left your family in the morning to post the believers at their stations for battle, and Allah is hearing and knowing." So, what is the reason for the revelation of this verse? It is that the Prophet left the house of Lady Aisha to go to the believers, the fighters, and their number was 1,000 fighters. For what purpose? To organize them for battle. In the Battle of Uhud, he placed some on the right flank and others on the left, and some at the rear, as he was the commander. So, everything was in order. The number of polytheists in the Battle of Uhud was 300, while the Muslims numbered 1,000. All right. Abdullah ibn Ubay suggested to the Prophet that they should fight inside the city. We shouldn't go to face the polytheists at Mount Uhud because they'll finish us off. We should fight them here. It's like what you would call today street fighting or guerrilla warfare or that sort of thing. All of these sorts of things. He said to him, we should fortify ourselves, because no one has ever fought us in the city without being defeated. We know its paths and geography, so we can ambush them well. What does the Prophet mean? He just scratched his surface, or something like that. Anyway, Abdullah ibn Ubay took 300 men and left, saying, we're not going to continue. Very well. So when the Prophet arrived, the group that remained with him numbered 700, because the total number was 1,000. When they got there, the Prophet placed a group of archers, those who specialized in shooting arrows and all that sort of thing. He positioned them at the top of the mountain. He told them, you are here to protect our rear. Do not leave your positions. Anyway, the fighting began with the polytheists, and the Prophet's side and his team gained the upper hand, and the disbelievers and polytheists started to collapse and be defeated. So the group of archers on top of the mountain left their positions and came down to take some of the spoils, saying, we've won now. That's it, it's over, we've finished them off. Come on then, let's go and take our share. But the polytheists circled round from the position the archers had abandoned, came up from behind them and attacked the Muslims from the rear. They started killing them and defeated them. Indeed, the Muslims were defeated in the Battle of Uhud. The Prophet and those who remained with him returned after those who had been killed had fallen. Those who fled, fled. Those who were wounded, were wounded. The Prophet took those who remained with him and returned to Medina. Very good. Who is it that says this is the reason for the verse's revelation? It's Qurtubi, Sadi, al-Baghawi, and Ibn Kathir. What I've just said is according to these four. These historians. Exactly. Very good. That was one point, the reason for the revelation. Point. The second point. The truth is, verse 121, which we're discussing, has nothing to do with what came before it. Why? Because what came before it, meaning 120 and 119 before that, and the whole of episode 12, meaning those 10 verses there, have nothing to do with this verse at all. Why? Because you're talking about the relationship between the Muslims and the Jews, and those sorts of things, and I'll explain to you what I mean by I'm warning you. Let me remind you of two examples of the verses that appeared there. Verse 120 was saying that if something good happens to you, it upsets them, and if something bad befalls you, they rejoice in it. If good comes to you, the Jews get angry, and if evil comes to you, they get angry. The Jews are happy. That's verse 120. Verse 119, the one before it. Here you are, loving them, but they do not love you. Back then, it was a matter of Jews and Muslims, love and hate, and things like that. What are we talking about today? The Battle of Uhud, a completely different topic. Verse 121. Very nice. 122. When the two groups among the believers, those two groups among you, were about to lose heart, but Allah was their protector. So let the believers put their trust in Allah. Who are these two groups? They are Banu Horita from the AWS and Banu Salama from the Khazraj. When these two groups saw that Abdullah ibn Ubay had turned back, They said to the messenger, "O messenger of Allah, we want to turn back as well." We can see that the situation is not promising at all. Now, regarding the phrase Allah was their protector, Al-Qurtubi says, it means that Allah gave them steadfastness. He strengthened their hearts, and they became convinced to continue on the journey to go and fight in the Battle of Uhud with the Prophet. Very good. So my question here is, was it Allah who made them steadfast, or was it the Prophet who did so? And if Allah here means that the Prophet convinced them, then that's it, because it was face to face. But if it was Allah who made them steadfast, how did Allah do that? This is a question that should really be put to Al-Qurtubi. Verse 123 says, "And Allah gave you victory at Badr when you were few in number. So fear Allah so that you may be grateful." The word few here means your numbers were small, or you were few in number. Alright, that's very good. That's number one. Number two. Why? Because how many Muslims were there at the Battle of Badr? There were 300. And how many polytheists were there? 900. Alright, just like at Uhud, the Muslims were 1,000 and the polytheists were 3,000 in the previous verse we mentioned. Very good. The second point is that at the Battle of Badr, the Prophet faced the Qibla and prayed to his Lord, saying, "O Allah, fulfill for me what you have promised me. O Allah, O Allah, O Allah. Grant me what you have promised me. O Allah, destroy this group." These were the words of the Prophet. He continued to pray with such fervor, until Abu Bakr al-Siddiq said to him, "That is enough pleading. O Prophet of Allah, that is enough pleading. Allah will fulfill for you what he has promised you." Very good. Who is it that narrates this conversation, that the Prophet prayed and Abu Bakr said such and such to him? Who says this? Yes. From whom does Al-Qurtubi quote? Al-Qurtubi. Who is Al-Qurtubi's source here? Umar ibn al-Khattab. Alright. When this conversation took place, which verse was revealed? It says, "When you sought help from your Lord, and he answered you, I will reinforce you with 1,000 angels, rank after rank." How much is this? This is Al-Anfal, verse 9. But we are in Aali-Imran, verse 123. So why wasn't it revealed after that? He is seeking help here, in this situation. So honestly, I don't really know why this verse was revealed in Al-Anfal, when you sought help. And it's verse number 9. That's between Aali-Imran and Al-Anfal. Between the Aali-Imran we're talking about and Al-Anfal, where this verse was revealed, there are 5 surahs. So why is that? What's the reason? I honestly don't understand, in any case. The next point, the fourth point in this verse, is that the word humiliation that we mentioned here in verse 123 means small in number. But bear in mind that the humiliation we talked about in the previous episode, verse 112, humiliation was struck upon them wherever they were found. If you remember, isn't that right? Except by a rope from Allah and a rope from the people. So, who was that about in verse 112? It was the Jews. Humiliation, in the case of the Jews, meant killing and captivity. In the case of the Muslims, it meant being small in number, even though the root of the word is the same. No, this is for those language enthusiasts who are always going on about language, just so you know. Language has nothing to do with the matter. See, humiliation and humiliation have the same root, and supposedly they should have the same meaning. But when it's directed at Muslims, it means being few in number. When it's directed at the Jews, it means killing and captivity. So, what do you think about that? Anyway, here. The truth is, the last point here, what does it say? So fear Allah, so that you may be grateful. Alright, which is the last part of the verse, 123. Honestly, I don't understand. So, one should fear Allah in order to be grateful? Is piety a prerequisite for gratitude? In the next episode. So fear Allah, so that you may succeed. Alright, that's acceptable. Fair enough. So, fear Allah, so that you may receive mercy. That's also fine, all right. But fear Allah so that you may be grateful. So, does one fear Allah to be grateful? I mean, can't someone be grateful without fearing Allah? It's normal, really. I can thank Allah at any time without piety or anything like that. That's just my point of view, anyway. And then, the word so that you may always catches my attention, to be honest. Fear God, perhaps you will. It's possible. Maybe. There's a chance that you might be grateful. That's what it means, I suppose. But I don't really understand. In any case, 124. When you said to the believers, is it not enough for you that your Lord should reinforce you with 3,000 angels sent down? Look, pay attention as well. There's a question here. In which battle did Allah support the Muslims with 3,000 angels sent down? Was it at Uhud or at Badr? There are 3 opinions on this, all right. The first opinion says that he supported them with these 3,000 angels in the Battle of Badr. Why? Because verse 124, which I've just read now, is connected to verse 9 of Al-Anfal, which says, when you asked your Lord for help, and he answered you, I will reinforce you with 1,000 angels, rank after rank. So, he says that he supported you with 1,000, and the 3,000 are an additional reinforcement. Do you see how it's 1,000, then 3,000? So this is connected to that, meaning 124 is linked to 9 of Al-Anfal, 124, Aali-Imran. Very well. That's the first opinion. All right. The second opinion says, no. What? He didn't grant them at Badr. He granted them at Uhud. Why? Because verse 124, which we're discussing, is connected to verse 121, which we started with. When we said that he went to fight them at Uhud, and Abdullah ibn Ubay turned back and all those things, yes, that's it. And when you left your family in the morning to post the believers to battle. So, that's very clear. These 2 opinions. One says it's about Badr, and the second says, one says that God supported them at Badr, and the other says that God supported them at Uhud. Also very clear. Who reported both opinions? Ibn Kathir. Very good, excellent. Now, there's a third opinion that says, no, he actually supported them at Badr, meaning there was no support at Uhud. Why is that, sir? What's your reasoning for saying he supported them at Badr? He said that God supported them at Badr because, at Uhud, they did not listen to the Prophet, nor did they follow his orders, and they abandoned their positions. So it happened. The polytheists managed to get through their positions at the top of the mountain, attacked them, and they were defeated. So, he did not support them at Uhud. He only sent them support at Badr. That's it. Who holds this third opinion? Al-Tabari and Al-Qurtubi. Exactly. So, there are 3 opinions. Regarding Badr. About Uhud. About Badr. Not about Uhud. Not about Uhud. Why? Because they didn't listen to the Prophet, and they abandoned their battle positions. Very good. 125. Yes, if you remain patient and mindful of God, and they come at you in haste, your Lord will reinforce you with 5,000 marked angels. Pay attention here. This is the point. So, what's the story in the battle of Badr? The Prophet learned that a man named Kurtz ibn Jabir al-Muharibi, he found out what Kurtz was doing. He learned that Kurtz was supplying the polytheists with weapons and fighters. Very good. So, what happened when the Prophet learned that Kurtz was supplying the polytheists with weapons and fighters? So, Allah revealed verses 124 and 125, the ones we've just mentioned, which say, when you said to the believers, is it not enough for you that your Lord should reinforce you with 3,000 angels sent down? 125. It says, yes, if you remain steadfast and mindful of Allah, and they come at you in a rush, your Lord will reinforce you with 5,000. 5,000. So how many does that make in total? 3 and 5. That's 8,000 angelic warriors. All right, very good. So, how did we start? The Prophet learnt that Kars Ibn Jabir al-Muharibi was supplying the polytheists with weapons and men, or fighters. So, when the Prophet found out, Allah revealed the two verses I've just mentioned, 124, 125. 3,000 and 5,000. All right, you're supplying them. Yes. Well, I'll send them 3 and 5, so that makes 8, and let's see what you'll do then. Very good. So Kars learnt about the two verses. And you see, when he found out that Allah would send 3 and 5, what does that mean? You see, the verses were spreading, people were learning about them, so Kars was one of those who found out. Very good. So what did he do then? What was his reaction? He stopped the supply. He told them no. God will send angels, so I'm not going to give you anything. No weapons or anything else. Because it would all go to waste, and we'd be defeated. That's very good. So Kars stopped supplying the polytheists. So what happened then? The next thing that happened, God stopped sending angels to support the Muslims. Why? Because God promised to provide the believers with fighting angels. If only He provided the polytheists with fighters and weapons. That's how it was. God took it exactly like that. Fine, Kars, if you give the polytheists support, I'll give the Muslims 3,000 or 5,000, making 8,000 in total, and let's see what you'll do. That's how it went, exactly. Who is it that's telling this story I've just mentioned? Al-Tabari and Al-Baghawi. Very nice indeed. I have a question here. Why did God link His support, or His promise to support the Muslims, to the arrival of fighting angels? Why did He tie it to Kars, providing the polytheists with fighters and weapons? Why? What does it mean? It's possible. It's not just that. He could have simply finished it off, crushed or killed Kars himself. So what's the problem? No, that didn't happen. What happened was what I told you just now, word for word. That's exactly what happened. The truth is, the remaining point in this verse is that the word Musorwomen, with 5,000 marked angels, means they had a sign or were marked out. You will find the king wearing a white turban and riding a horse. This is king. This is direct divine support sent down from heaven, fully equipped. He's come straight into battle. No negotiation. Very good. So, who said this then? That they have signs and so on, that Musorwomen means they are marked, or distinguished, by certain signs. The one who reported this was al-Qurtubi, quoting from, bear in mind, Ali ibn Abi Talib. So, we actually have two very good sources in this episode, Umar ibn al-Khattab and Ali ibn Abi Talib. Very good. 126. And Allah made it only as a glad tiding for you, and to reassure your hearts thereby. And victory is only from Allah, the Almighty, the Wise. In any case, I don't have any questions about this verse or anything. And the it, in He made it, refers to the support. God did not provide support except to give you good tidings and reassure you. But this divine support was just to give you glad tidings and reassure you, O Muslims. Very good. 127. So that He may cut off a part of those who disbelieved, or suppress them, so that they turn back disappointed. There are two opinions regarding this verse. This verse is 127. One opinion says that this verse is connected to verse 125, the one before it, the one just before this, and another opinion says it is connected to 126. The opinion that says it is connected to 125 says that in this case, if we link it to 125, then the full meaning or interpretation would be as follows. Meaning, your Lord will support you with 5,000 to cut off a faction. All right then. God will grant you 5,000 in order to cut off a faction, to kill. To cut off here means to kill. A part of the verse refers to the polytheists. So, its meaning is, in order to kill the leaders of the polytheists in the Battle of the Trench. All right. Who says this? Al-Qurtubi. All right, fair enough. The second opinion says that verse 127 is connected to 126. And in this case, the intended meaning would be, and victory is only from Allah, to cut off a faction. This means to kill the leaders of the polytheists in the Battle of Uhud. Who says this? Who is it that says this? Al-Tabari, stayed one to kill the leaders of the polytheists in the Battle of the Trench, and the other is to kill the leaders of the polytheists in the Battle of Uhud. Is that clear? All right, so verse 127 is either connected to 126, and its meaning is as we've said, or it's connected to 125, and its meaning is as we've said. All right. The truth is, after verse 127, this verse was revealed. And do not think of those who have been killed in the way of Allah as dead. Rather, they are alive with their Lord, provided for. This one is numbered 169 in Aali-Imran. So, if it was revealed here after 127, why is it numbered 169? Honestly, I don't know who said that. Who said that this is verse 169, the one I've just read? What is this that you're saying? And do not think of those who have been killed. The one who said it was revealed after 127. Al-Tabari. So the question here is, why? Why is it at 169? I mean, I don't understand. 128. You have no part in the matter. He may turn to them in mercy, or punish them, for they are wrongdoers. What is the reason for the revelation? There are actually two reasons. The first reason is that the Prophet's head was wounded, and his skull split open in the Battle of Uhud, and he was nearly killed. He almost died in it, in fact. Very well. And his incisor was broken too. All right, fine. So he prayed to God at the dawn prayer. He said, O Allah, curse Abu Sufyan ibn Harb, Safwan ibn Umayyah, Suhail ibn Amr, and Al-Harith ibn Hisham. So the verse was revealed, telling him not to pray against anyone. You have no say in the matter. He may turn to them in mercy or forgive them. That's not your job. These are the words, exactly as stated in the Quran. I'll tell you who said that this was the first reason for the revelation. Al-Sadi and Ibn Kathir. All right, the second reason for the revelation. The second reason is that the Prophet sent 70 men from his companions who had memorized the Quran to a place called Bayar Mayuna to teach the people there the Quran. Very good. So, who killed them then? The 70. Amir ibn Tufail and his men gathered around him and went to kill him. They said to him, do you want the Quran or do you want to step on his head? Very good. All right. The important thing is that the Prophet learned about this matter and was sad. He was deeply saddened. And again, during the Fajr prayer, he prayed to our Lord, O Allah, curse so-and-so and so-and-so, meaning Amir ibn al-Tufail and the group of murderers with him, those who killed them. Who did they kill? The memorizers of the Quran. That was the second reason for the revelation of this verse. You have no say in the matter. Very good. And then, after making the supplication, he would say, Allah hears the one who praises him. Our Lord, to you belongs all praise, and so on. So the verse was revealed because of what? The killing of those 70. So who is it that says this is the reason, and not the Battle of Uhud, when his head was wounded and his tooth was broken? No, the one who says this is al-Baghawi. Very well. That was one point. The second point, in truth, is about what is meant by, or he may turn to them in mercy. Here. In fact, he says the word is connected, or he may turn to them in mercy. You have no say in the matter, or he may turn to them in mercy. He says it is connected to verse 27, where it says that he may cut off a part of those who disbelieve. So, what would the overall meaning or interpretation be if it is indeed connected? It would be that he may cut off a part of those who disbelieve, or suppress them, or turn to them in mercy. Which is what we are saying in this verse, verse 128. Very good. So, who actually said that this is connected to that? That 128 is connected to 127. Let's say it. It is Qurtubi and Tabari who say this. Right. The truth is, I don't really understand the first. Or, why is that? Because it says, you have no say in the matter. Or, well, or what? Or comes, just like here exactly. It says to you, he may turn to them in mercy, or he may punish them, because the word or appears twice in the verse. If you noticed, while I was reading, you have no say in the matter. Or, he may turn to them in mercy, or, he may punish them. He may turn to them in mercy, or he may punish them. That's clear, but you have no say in the matter. The or, before it is different. It has nothing to do with it. I mean, you can't put them together. Or, you know, if he had said, you have no say in the matter, that he may turn to them in mercy. Concept. I would understand. If he had said, you have no say in the matter, he may turn to them in mercy, or he may punish them. I would understand that. But the first or, honestly, I can't understand it. If anyone has an interpretation or insight, please feel free to write it in the comments. No problem. The truth is, whether God forbade the prophet, stripped him even of the right to pray, against the polytheists, whether at the Battle of Uhud after his head was wounded and his tooth was broken, or whether it was the same regarding praying against those who killed the memorizers of the Quran. So, the truth is, this is a point. God forbade the prophet, or stripped the prophet, of the right to pray against the polytheists. That's one. God defined the role of the prophet in 11 clear Quranic verses, which we mentioned previously in episode 26, which was titled, Abolishing the Prophetic Sunnah is the Solution. They defined the prophet's role as delivering the message, only, nothing more. Alright, here's number 23. The prophet himself used to say, I am only a human being like you. It is revealed to me. In other words, I am exactly like you. And by the way, revelation does not give the prophet any extra privilege over any other person, because God could have chosen someone else. Naturally, there's absolutely no problem with that. Very good. So, that's three things. First, that God stripped the prophet of the right to pray against the polytheists, whatever the reason may be. Whatever the reason for the supplication. Secondly, he defined his role as merely delivering the message, and this is stated clearly, decisively, and repeatedly in 11 Quranic verses, meaning his only duty was to convey the message. That's how it was, and you can refer back to episode 26. By the way, I'll quickly list them for you. Light, 54. Spider, 18. The Table, 99. The Table, 92. Thunder, 40. These, 35. Peace, 82. Aali-Imran, 20. Tolerance, 12. Yasin, 17. Shura, 48. All of these verses say to him, in short, your duty is only to deliver the message. The verse is repeated in one way or another, but that's exactly what it means, and it's very clear. And he says, say, I am only a human being like you. This is the third truth, the truth. So, I'd like us to look at a way to read the verses that mention both God and the prophet together, joined by the letter WA, the conjunction, and which puts them on the same level. Like what, for example? For instance, the verse we came across in Surah Al-Baqarah. But if you do not do so, then be informed of a war from Allah and His Messenger. This is very clear, everyone. That was Al-Baqarah 29. Indeed, the believers are only those who believe in Allah and His Messenger. No 62. Allah and His Messenger believed in Allah and His Messenger. Right. And know that whatever spoils of war you acquire, a fifth of it belongs to Allah and to the Messenger. Right, that's Al-Anfal 41. Take your time. Indeed, those who harm Allah and His Messenger, they harm the Messenger. That makes sense, because he is a human being and present with us on earth, but how can they harm Allah? Can anyone actually harm Allah? So, in light of the points I've just mentioned to you, Allah forbade him from invoking curses upon the polytheists, and defined his role as simply delivering the message. And the Prophet himself is made to say, in his own words, "Say, I am only a human being like you, to whom it is revealed." Then I am suddenly surprised to find both of them mentioned together, in a sentence joined by a conjunction. This, in truth, requires a completely different reading and perspective. To be completely honest, in any case. Of course, the truth is 129, and this is the last verse, in which he says, "To God belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth. He forgives whom he wills and punishes whom he wills, and God is forgiving and merciful." What is the ruling on repeating Allah twice? To Allah belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth. He forgives whom he wills, he punishes whom he wills, and Allah is forgiving and merciful. Well, he uses pronouns continuously. So, what is he saying? Let me give you an example. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins. He is the all-forgiving, the most merciful. That was from Az Zumar, verse 53. All right. Okay. In any case, verse 129 also reaffirms the previous verse and says to him, "O Muhammad, you have no say in the matter," once again. Allah is free to forgive. He alone has the authority, so he forgives whom he wills and punishes whom he wills. Don't pray against anyone. You see what I mean? Alright, now, who said this? The one who says it's a confirmation of the previous verse, 128, which told him, "You have no say in the matter." Who says this? Al-Tabari and Al-Sadiyai. See you next Friday.